Live from New York, it's Ask an Engineer.
Hey everybody, and welcome to yet another Ask an Engineer. It's me, LadyAda, the engineer. With me is Mr. LadyAda on camera control. We're broadcasting live from the Adafruit factory in downtown Manhattan. This is behind us, is where we do all of our manufacturing and kitting and shipping and videoing and tutorialing and guiding and photography and more. It's a factory. We make things. It's advanced manufacturing. But for the next hour, the factory's asleep while we manufacture content, about 1 hour of the latest and greatest news for makers, engineers, hackers, artists, and more. Mr. LadyAda, what's on tonight's show?
On tonight's show, the code is Bith. May the 4th be with you. The code is Bith because of LadyAda's favorite characters from one of the Star Wars. That's right, Bith. They're peaceful, they're intelligent, they're sentient, they're musicians.
They can't cry.
And could not shed tears. So the code is Bith. 10% off on Adafruit store all the way up to 11:59 p.m. or when I remember to turn off the code.
Correct.
Use the code, and happy May 4th to you. Okay, next up. We talking about our live series of shows, including Show and Tell. Just did that. Thank you, JP and Liz. Time travel, look around the world, makers, hackers, artists, engineers. We have everyone's most feared and favorited segment, chip shortage. This week we'll be talking about ST. Got some jobs from the Adafruit jobs board, jobs.adafruit.com. We are an advanced manufacturing company made in New York City. We'll be showing some factory footage and more. Some 3D printing. Ion MPI, what a special, I think this is going to be one of my favorite ones already. Tail gloss, and a horse stops by. New products, top secret. We answer your questions. We do that over on Discord, adafruit.it/Discord. Join all 34,000 of us. All that and more on, you guessed it, Ask an Engineer.
All right.
The code is not case sensitive. I just did that so you can read it.
It's easy to read, so I don't think it's a one.
So, yeah.
Maybe the new song will be that.
Could do that. So let's kick it off by paying some bills.
That's
that
right.
code was Biff, but LadyAda, when people put stuff in their cart to get free stuff, what do they get?
That's right. $99 or more, you get a free Perma-Proto half-sized breadboard. $149 or more, you get a free selection, one of a selection of STEMMA QT boards that we have available, various sensors and more. And $199 or more, you get free UPS ground shipping in the continental United States. It's trackable, it's insured. We'll be changing up the freebies maybe this month. So if you place an order, this might be your last chance to get some of these freebies.
Yeah. And
we'll have different freebies.
Yeah, and just a heads up, with shipping costs going up quite a bit, we might need to change the tier for free shipping, so you may as well get on it now while you can. You know, the best time is now. Don't forget to get two-factor authentication on your account on Adafruit. So you sign up for an account, verify it, then do two-factor authentication. The reason for that is there's a lot of high-demand products, and we do two-factor authentication. We do lots of other stuff, but this is just one of the things that helps make it fair for everyone out there to get the products they know and love. So thank you for doing that. Also, it's just good practice. I did see in the news that GitHub will be requiring two-factor authentication on all repos for developers by 2023, which is smart. It's a good idea. Okay. LadyAda, we do a live series of shows every single week.
Yes.
to.
That's right. I like to stream it. I like to stream it. Stream it.
What we,
I'm full of song today.
yeah, you're full of song. We just did show and tell. Thank you, Liz and JP. Liz, she's been doing stuff for a while, but a newer member of our team, co-hosting with JP. So we're going to watch it. I glanced over at some of the show and tell participants. I'll watch that tonight. Do check it out on any place where you watch our videos. On Sunday, we do Desk of LadyAda, and it's in 2 parts. LadyAda, what was part 1 of Desk of LadyAda?
Okay, well, first up, we showed some beautiful images from when we went to the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens, and we saw some pink cherry blossoms that were in full bloom. And then we came home and we worked on electronics. I showed off this CP2104 replacement chip, the CH9102. I tried it out on a Feather ESP32. It worked out great. It just made sure that the baud rate was all good. I also showed off a USB PD chip, cable, and then the chip that's inside of it, and then a breakup board that I designed that you actually recently posted up the video, I think, or the images on Twitter, so people can check out that design in more detail. USB PD basically lets you get multiple voltages from a USB wall adapter without boost converters or buck converters or all that. And you can get a lot of current too, so it could be really good for robotics projects.
Okay. Then we did the Great Search, LadyAda. What was the Great Search this week?
The Great Search this week, what was it? Oh, right. It was purple and pink LEDs, because we're going to be doing a run of the pink RP2040s as a giveaway. And you mentioned that it would be nice if it had a pink or purple 0603 LED on it. And I was like, oh, yeah, that would be a good idea. So, I sourced some parts on DigiKey, and I also showed in general how to get LEDs in the color you want, because it can be a little tricky. There's a lot of different LEDs, and there's different, the names of the colors may not necessarily be the color you want, so how to use the nanometer selector to find the exact color that you're looking for.
Okay. Then there is JP's product pick of the week. We do this every single week. I was reading an article about the future of e-commerce, and they're talking about how really advanced, innovative companies will have live video about how the products are made, live broadcast with people who make it, or some of the information about it, but it'll be live. It'll be a participatory experience,
yeah,
like a concert, but for buying stuff. Kind of like, the old days with QVC.
Which I loved as a kid.
So we've been doing this for a while, and JP broadcasts from the product page itself. Every single week, the discounts automatically applied. Take it away, JP.
The Feather ESP32 S2 TFT. This is a fantastic board. It's kind of one of the most modern Feathers that we have, since it has USB-C on it, which I love. It has a Stemma QT port on it, so you can just plug a sensor or something into that. Just plug that right into the top there. On the back side, you can see we've got the big ESP32 S2 package on there, as well as most of the rest of the charging circuit and passives and voltage regulator and so on. This can plug into a breadboard. This can have things plugged into it. It can go into a doubler, into a tripler. You can solder things directly to it. So you've also got mounting holes on there. So you can really use this like you use any Feather. But the fact that you've got this great looking, sharp, colorful display on there allows you to get a lot of projects done really, really easily. That's my product pick of the week. It is the Feather ESP32 S2 TFT.
All right, and then on Thursdays, it's JP's workshop. And then here's a little bit of a preview of a project JP's working on. So this is kind of the new normal. That phrase has been used a lot, but there's such a scarcity on parts that you build projects with parts that you can get and electronics that you can get to let you know when something is in stock that's harder to get. So we have this thing that will sound an alarm when a Raspberry Pi is available to purchase on our site. Kind of reminds me of the bat phone a little bit. On Fridays, Foamy Guy, Tim, does Deep Dive, filling in for Scott. He'll be back soon. Fridays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, where you can do a literal deep dive in all the innards of CircuitPython and more. Check that out this week. Time travel. Let's look around in the world of makers, hackers, artists, and engineers. I'm going to time travel back to the beginning of the show and say, yeah. So apparently it is case sensitive right now. So all lowercase, B-I-T-H. There's parts of my mind that are a little dusty because I don't have to use them. So
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't know that.
I don't know either, but who knows? All lowercase definitely
You
works.
love lowercase though, so that's
I know,
fine.
I know.
You should just stick
I
to
did
it.
that so it was more legible because I didn't want anyone to think it was B-L-T-H because you know how. Anyways, I got to maybe choose a different font next time.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things that we do every month is the IoT, Adafruit Internet of Things Monthly. This is, I think, the best IoT newsletter out there because it gives you all sorts of projects that you can do. It shows you hardware you can buy, not even from Adafruit, but if you want to, that's cool. This month, this is neat. This is a IoT thermometer with Adafruit IO Whippersnapper. So this is a no-code, just drag and drop really fast, and you can display this. So if you want to know the temperature of a place in your home or somewhere else, easily do this with no code and free on Adafruit IO. So we have that project. And then this is kind of the other side of the IoT coin, it's not a crypto coin, sorry, I shouldn't say that. So we covered this. So Insteon, we're keeping the lights on, turn the lights off. So the home automation company abruptly closes, and like people are working on like how to get around this, which is currently happening a lot. And so one of the things that we made our promise is like you don't have to worry about that with us. It's not a venture funded company that just does these services. So folks who have this tied to their homes are like, well, the service has been down for 3 days. The company status said all service online. The company forms are down, and no one's replying to users on social media. So
My favorite is when there's a phone number and like it just rings and rings and you get a voicemail.
Yeah, Home Assist, an open source home automation project, supports the devices, and there's a blog post on how to integrate these together. But this is why we made Adafruit IO. One of the reasons because we didn't want people to have hardware they're using it for important things or like what's important. Like
You're home.
it's subjective, but I would say that if you have your home set up, so if you forget to leave the garage door open or if there's a leak in the basement and it texts you, that's pretty important stuff. So anyways, thanks for the folks who have pro accounts, and thanks for the folks who buy hardware. That's what helps. But we don't have that in the future where you wake up one day and all of a sudden your stuff isn't going to work. So we'll keep at it. Thanks for using Adafruit IO. AdaBox. We are going to be shipping AdaBox. We moved the next box because we can't get all the parts we need. First it was going to be winter. Then we're like, yeah, maybe spring. Now it's straight up spring.
Well, I think we had the blossoms, the cherry blossoms at the beginning of spring.
Yeah. Okay. So it's spring-like. So we're still working on it. Still waiting to get the last remaining bits. And we'll keep everyone updated. Thanks for your patience. We're full. So what's happening is when people drop out of AdaBox, you might be able to briefly sign up to get in the slots, but we have like 500 or 600 people waiting. So we'll see. We're trying to figure out maybe we can expand the offerings when we have the boxes ready to go. But thanks for your patience, adabox.com. Okay, it's everyone's favorite segment. You ready? Sung in engineering stand-up meetings every morning around the world, around the country. This week's chip shortage, LadyAda, is ST. And you were saying it was a little bit like Mad Max around here. So I have a little clip of who runs Bartertown.
Who runs Chip Shortage Town?
Who run Bartertown? Who run Bartertown?
You know who.
Say.
Master Blaster.
I think the refresh button runs barter town or electronic shortage town. So
I mean, it really is barter. I mean, everyone's just like scrounging around for
Yeah.
whatever they can get. It's like a, it's
we
like
don't get the gasoline.
yeah, it's a gasoline, but
Yeah.
it said it's chips that you need to fuel your projects.
All right, so it's ST this week.
So this week we're actually doing a favor for our BFFs over at MicroPython. We were chatting with them. More about that later.
Happy 9 years old,
Everything's
MicroPython.
great, everything's
We're going to
great.
talk about MicroPython in a big way in our Python on hardware segment, but we're doing a solid, as they say.
Yes, because
They need chips.
MicroPython needs chips because MicroPython, we have like 4,000 products. So, if we can't get one thing, it's okay. We'll get something else. And we can also put a lot of money into inventory and ordering ahead of time. But they have one product or two products really, and one is the Pi board. And the Pi board has an STM32F405 on it. And they really, really need some chips. And this is an important project. And not just to promote ST, but to keep the Python hardware community going, because selling Pi boards is how MicroPython supports and funds a lot of the development that they do. So it's really important that they get chips. So our chip shortage video this week is to ST. ST, please, please, please get MicroPython 500 to 3,000 of these STM32F405 RGT6s. They desperately need them. It's going to, they haven't been able to get them for a long time. They desperately need them in order to keep MicroPython going and to keep the funding going so that they can continue the development that people who buy ST microcontrollers use. They're doing so much free development for you. I don't even think you should charge them for the chips. I think you should just send them a reel for free.
No one's asking for anything free. It's just like
No, I don't know. It's worth asking.
Yeah. So I guess here, since
Maybe if you can't buy chips, can you get free chips?
Since you're a domain expert, as they say in the biz lady, where do you think these chips are going?
I think these are going into a lot of products. I mean, STM chips are very popular. They're used in industry. I don't think they're necessarily going into automotive, but I think they're going into a lot of industrial products.
That seems to be the default. But, you hear about there's not manufacturing. People aren't building as much stuff. So, where's it going? It's mysterious still to me.
Yeah, and they're also, these chips are available, but the prices are like 3 times, 5 times as high. And MicroPython can't support that. They need to be able to sell the boards at a price that people will purchase. And so that's why it's important that ST provides the chips and not to go on the secondary market where you can get untrustworthy chips. They could be not true. They could be, fake chips that are rebranded. So they need genuine parts and they need them soon. So this is our chip shortage request with our catchy tune.
Yeah, and we'll send this out to ST and our contacts there, and maybe they have some small allocation that they can help MicroPython with.
It's not even for me. I don't want the chips.
Yeah.
I'm good. They need the chips.
If they sent us the chips, we would just send them to,
That's right.
to Damien and MicroPython.
That's right.
So anyways, that's this week's chip shortage.
Take it, tune.
Okay, help wanted, jobs at adafruit.com. You can post your job. If you're a company, post your skills at jobs.adafruit.com. This week, there's 2. They're pretty neat. Basic 3D modeling required. This one could be anywhere. Free Radical Labs LLC, freelance. And then this one is an in-person one, Makerspace Manager at Chappaqua, New York. Cool gig. You would be managing a makerspace in beautiful.
Make Inspires. Isn't that the person we met? We met them.
Might be.
I think, yeah.
Yeah. All right. It's now time for Python on Hardware. And this week, the big news, the only news, well, we'll do a little bit of other news, is happy birthday, MicroPython. You're 9 years old. Woo!
Yay!
Happy birthday, you're 9 years old.
Yay, look at that happy snake.
So I'll talk about some of the things we're doing with MicroPython and for MicroPython. But first up, some highlights. April 29th, 9 years ago, was the first line of MicroPython written. And they're up to newsletter number 12. Do check out micropython.org. and sign up for it, and you'll get details and cool stats like this. This was from the latest newsletter.
More commits, more contributors.
In the last 1 year, 1,210 commits. That's up 817 from the previous year. There's about 13,000 commits altogether. 147 contributors, up from 93 from the previous year. They released v1.16, 17, 118. They gained new features. You can go through all of these. And then GitHub sponsors has grown. So they managed to get up to $4,150. Last year it was per month. Last year it was $1,250. Last year, GitHub sponsors didn't allow organizations to sponsor, so I think I did a personal one on the monthly, and then Adafruit donated $9,000. Sorry, $8,000 because it was their eighth birthday, and that's the way we did it. We did a one-time there, but you don't get listed on it, and we don't do this stuff to get listed. But like, there are some people who are like, oh, why isn't Adafruit contributing? It's like, well, we do. They just didn't list it. So we're really pleased to say two things. One, there's a new version of MicroPython coming, 1.19, and we're synced up with our releases with CircuitPython, and the community's synced up. But I did want to mention what we're doing. So for MicroPython, now that organizations can sponsor, you can check out github.com/MicroPython. And you can see we are now a sponsor. We're in the first spot right now. I don't know how they arranged it. Maybe it's the latest or maybe it's the most because we just dropped some coin. And we're the 85th sponsor that's listed on there now. And they were at 84% to their goal, and now they are at 93%. So you can get it even closer. If just a few folks do it in this chat right now, github.com/MicroPython, you can do it. And our credit card got pinged, and now it's a monthly thing. We're doing at least $500 a month to get this started. We want to get the word out, and we'll be following up on our blog post. We'll be following up on socials, and what we're going to try to do is just keep parity with like how much can we donate to MicroPython, but also make this so it doesn't end up just being a couple of companies. It's a community effort, so we all have a reason to keep this thing going. We buy hardware from MicroPython, we donate to MicroPython, but we also want to make sure it doesn't turn into just like 3 or 4 companies doing this. And CircuitPython's kind of on its own, doing its own thing in its own community. And like long term, I expect, just like the direction now, there's more non-CircuitPython boards than Adafruit boards. So we're all going to have to figure out ways to continue to help open source, but this is a direct, for sure way. So go to MicroPython's GitHub and do a sponsor. You could do it. Heck, by the end of the show, we could get to 100%. It's 93% now. You could do it. Make some noise. For CircuitPython news, I wanted to say check out CircuitPythonshow.com. Melissa's on there.
Yay!
Yay! So the latest one, this is episode 8. Melissa is on there being interviewed and more. Congrats, Paul, who's been doing a fantastic job on this. And there was 2 projects in the CircuitPython world celebrating May 4th. Todd Bott is one, he's in chat. And then there's another one, R2, so I was going to play both these.
What's this? It's the world's smallest targeting computer. I better not turn it off.
And that's Python on hardware.
Thank you, Blinka.
Okay, a reminder, all lowercase. Don't do the thing. Don't do that. Okay, ready, LadyAda? We're going to do some open source hardware news. We have 2,667 guides.
Wow, I remember it was like 2,000 and it was 2,500.
I remember when it was guide number 1.
We're 2/3 of the way toward 3,000.
Yeah. Numeric goals are good, not because of a number, but because it just keeps you going.
It's just they're fun. I don't know.
And one of I remember the first time it was like, let's get to 500, and then it was like, let's get to 1,000, and then it was like, okay, cool, let's get to 2,000 because now we know this thing. And then it's like 2,600. Yay! I used to write for 2,600.
I think maybe in a year or 2 we'll get to.
Yeah, I think so too. So what's on the big board this week?
Okay, we've got. Let me see. Okay, Brent did a massive guide, how to add a new board to Whippersnapper. So Whippersnapper is our no-code IoT platform. It's a layer on top of Adafruit IO that lets people create components and connect things together, with various IoT boards. Right now, Wi-Fi is mostly what we're supporting. So ESP32 boards and 8266s and boards with an ESP32 SPI add-on like the PyPortal and stuff. and the Funhouse and all those boards we have support for. It uses Arduino to run the firmware because we need something very compact and very fast. And also, it's not very customizable. You run the firmware once, and then the website does all the customization for you. But if you have a board that you would like added to Whippersnapper, it's actually quite easy to add support, especially if you're using one of the chipsets that we heavily rely on, ESP32, S2, S3 Classic, ESP328266, or SAMD51 with an ESP32 SPI Wi-Fi coprocessor. Those are like the main nuggets that we're supporting because, of course, people love ESP boards. So if you have a board, or if you are using a board and you would love to add Whippersnapper support so all the right pins show up and the image shows up correctly, check out Brent's guide. He'll tell you exactly how you can add support with a pull request. We've had people add components. I think we had somebody even add a board. So it is possible to do so. We just can't do all of them. We're just so busy and we don't have all the hardware. So if you have some hardware, please submit a PR. And we'd be happy to add new boards. And the cool thing is once we merge the PR, 5 minutes later, it'll show up on Whippersnapper because it's dynamically loaded from the GitHub repo. It's kind of cool. We're trying to learn how to make, sites where, we have the runtime code, running on our web server, but the data is coming from a GitHub repo that people can submit PRs to so we can get user-generated content in, but do it in a way that's, of course, safe and reliable. Yeah. Next up, we've got from Matt Drac7, who's done some really awesome OS guides before, a guide on Serenity OS. If you want to go back to the days of your Pentium 120 installing Slackware 1.5, this gives you that look, this classic 90s Linux look. I'm trying to remember what Windows Manager I ran. I actually don't remember. I ran quite a few of them on my Linux box, but this one has a nice classic feel to it. So check it out. Got a little Windows Linuxy look.
What else?
Liz wrote 2 product guides: the DVI Breakout, including how to compile code for the Raspberry Pi Pico to output HDMI DVI to the Breakout, which is what we designed it for. We've also got the VL53L4CX. That's a new product from a couple weeks ago. This sensor has Arduino library. It doesn't have Python or CircuitPython yet because ST has not written that library. Another thing ST could do that would be wonderful. So right now it's Arduino only, but we have Arduino tutorial. It's a really nice library because it can do up to 6 meters time of flight ranging, which is like really far. I can't throw that far. So check out that guide. We've also got the Mega RGB LED Matrix Cube. You've been wanting an RGB LED Matrix Cube, all of you. Well, we finally did it. We've documented it. We have 3D printed files. Everything you need to make either the most compact cube or the easiest to build cube. There's 2 builds, same code, runs with a Raspberry Pi 4. Yeah, you're going to have to find one, but I'm sure you can scrounge one around. And then we've got a lot of awesome demos. We'll show the video shortly. It's a great video. Yep. And then Carter wrote an oft-requested guide. We have this 8-channel I2C expander where it's like if you want to connect 8 of the same I2C address devices together, you can use this TC8014, I don't remember the exact part number, to do so. But he wrote a basic guide of okay, sometimes you can change the address. How do you do that in Arduino and CircuitPython? If you're using this expander, how do you do that and make sure that you select the right port? There's a couple just little details to watch out for. We see people make the same mistakes. So Carter wrote this guide that we can point people to because it's pretty common now that people are like, I want to connect 5 of these time of flight sensors together, but I can't change the address. How do I do that in Arduino or CircuitPython? It's possible, but you just have to be very careful.
Okay. Let's do some factory footage.
Advanced factory footage.
And it wouldn't be made in New York City for us right now unless this Disney building wasn't being made here. So that's our version of made in New York City.
Yeah.
Big old Disney building across the street. Watch it build. Okay, 3D printing. Okay, this is the tutorial, the guide. This is what a lot of folks been waiting for.
It's not the finale of Moon Knight. It's better.
Yeah. So we've had a couple like long-term ideas for Adafruit. Like, when will we know we're at the state of the art for some stuff? Like, when will it be easy? Will more people be able to use this? Will folks who never thought they could be an engineer, younger folks, older folks, a diverse group of people doing engineering and sharing. And some of it is like, well, like, there's a project that we want to do, and it just was not possible. And it was too expensive or too hard, and the software wasn't there, whatever. And this LED cube is one of them. Another one is to be able to wear a movie. So I want to make a jacket that is just plays Blade Runner, the whole movie.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting closer and closer. And this is a decade ago we started talking about this. We're like, yeah, one day we'll be there. The LEDs get smaller. There's a certain, it's not Moore's law, but it's like the density of LEDs on a flexible surface. So we have ideas, but this is like another little glimpse. And you know, you got to just keep scratching. You make your little dent in the electronic universe. And this will be a project I think that'll be super easy for folks.
This is something people want, and we just went through and we just did all the hard parts. We documented it. We did the modeling. We did the plastic design, and we did like it's all magnetic. It's all done for you. So if you want to make an LED cube,
you always want to do this,
you have no excuse.
And
we
it's
have
one of
everything
those
ready.
projects where you make it, and it's an heirloom that sits in. You know, it's more than just like an electronic project. It's actually like something beautiful. So, anyways, here we go.
Hey, what's up folks? In this project we're building an RGB matrix cube with 25,000 colorful LEDs powered by a Raspberry Pi. This is a 6-sided cube that features 64 by 64 high-density RGB LED matrices. It's driven by a Raspberry Pi 4 with an Adafruit matrix bonnet. We have some beautiful demos like this flowing pixel sand demo, which uses an accelerometer for a mesmerizing motion effect. The grains of sand trickle down and move across all 6 panels, making this physics toy unlike anything else. To drive all 6 panels, we're using a Raspberry Pi 4 computer with an Adafruit RGB matrix bonnet. This little add-on board makes connecting RGB panels with Hub 75 easy to plug and play. We made 2 different sizes of the cube, and both are documented on the Adafruit Learning System. The bigger cube features 2.5mm pitch panels with built-in curb cut frames for an easier build. The smaller cube uses 2mm pitch panels and has fully 3D printed frames. It's tougher to construct, but it's the smallest pitch possible. Both cubes feature neodymium magnets, making the panels easily snap fit together. To power the cube, we're using a 5-volt 3-amp USB battery bank. It's compact and small enough to fit inside the cube alongside the data and power cables. This version of Conway's Game of Life was specifically written for the cube to allow the cells to travel across all of the panels. For static displays, we have an image viewer demo that you can use to better understand the cube's typology. Once you've gotten them in the right format, JPEG and PNG images can be displayed. You can experiment with all sorts of texture maps, no matter how bizarre. The globe demo takes images like the Earth and projects it onto the cube while spinning and animating. You can try this out with other planets like Jupiter, the Moon, or even the Death Star. There's an option to wrap the texture vertically so the polar caps are mapped to the corners. Be sure to check out the guide for a full step-by-step tutorial on building your own matrix cube. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more projects from Adafruit. Hey,
Okay, And so that was the video from the beginning that we showed. This is a JP head. And one of the reasons I thought this was funny is when the CEO of Twitter at the time, Jack, left, or whatever version of how things work now, started Block, and their About page has all of the people who work there with, like, it's just photoshopped on a block, but I'm just like, well, like, this would be really neat to do for real, too. So, I don't know, maybe they'll see this and they could store their wallet in this. I don't know, so. Okay, and then the other thing we've got is a speed up.
Yes.
And it's dragon-based. And don't forget, every Wednesday at 11 a.m., you can learn how to make all this stuff and more with the longest running live 3D show with Gnome Pedro 3D Hangouts. All right, the code is this, but lowercase, all lowercase. Don't do anything that looks like this, just all lowercase. Just the I is lowercase, the B should be lowercase T.
Yeah, okay.
And that's a code for tonight, 10% off in the Adafruit store, all the way up to 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time, LadyAda. Mm-hmm. Sign on MPI time.
That's right.
On MPI.
This week's Eye on MPI is Tailglass.
Tailglass, yes. This is a really cool Irish company that makes a lot of antennas. In fact, you've probably used their antennas. I have before. They make ones for GPS and Wi-Fi and cellular and all sorts of stuff. But this week in particular, we are highlighting their multi-band SMT antennas. These are ceramic antennas that you can pick and place. They come on a tape-in reel, and they have a massive wide band. This one in particular, the PA760 wideband, is 600 to 6,000 megahertz, which covers a wide number of bands, as shown here, basically 4G, 5G, 3G, and 2G, including Wi-Fi as well. I mean, basically kind of anything really between 600 and 6,000. And you need this because, and I was wondering, like, why do you need so many bands? Well, I'm used to cellular stuff. When I was first designing cellular stuff with the SIM 800, this is a GSM GPRS module. So GSM, otherwise known as 2G, covered the whole world with basically quad band. Although honestly, it's really dual band because 850 and 900 megahertz and 1800 and 1900 megahertz are pretty much the same frequencies, and they're also multiples of 2. So, getting an antenna that could cover those two bands, basically 900 and 1900 megahertz, was not too bad. We have one in the store that's very inexpensive, that covers both and has, I think, 2 dBi gain. And that was wonderful and great, except that 2G is no longer used in North America and a lot of parts of Europe. Instead, we have, I'm skipping ahead to LTE, which you're probably familiar with because your phone is an LTE phone. Well, guess what? There is basically 100 bands available for all of the different speeds and bandwidths and ranges that people are expected to use
100
with
bands. It's wireless palooza.
I know. So, a lot of this is, I don't go through all of these. Some of these, of course, more popular than others, but countries have different bands available. And also, depending on the category of LTE, there's categories 0, category 1M, up to category, I think, 4 or 5. The higher the category number, usually the higher the frequency and the higher the bandwidth is for transmitting video, audio, high-speed internet. Whereas the lower categories, category 0, category 1, Those are used for machine-to-machine stuff. What the low-cost 2G network used to do, when you just wanted to send temperature data over cellular, or you wanted to, have a credit card processing machine that just sent authorizations over cellular. You don't have to have a very good quality, high-speed connection because it's only connecting very rarely. It connects to the cell network, verifies the credit card, and then disconnects. So for that, you might want a less expensive, lower power cellular module that uses the LTE network, and you might want something that has better range because, it's okay if your fancy cell phone maybe doesn't work in a basement eatery, but we've been to restaurants where when you go downstairs, there's no cell phone service. But if you have a alarm system or a fire detection system or a credit card processing system that uses cellular, well, it needs to work everywhere. And so those category 0 and category 1 bands might use something as low as 900 megahertz, 600 megahertz to get really good penetration through walls and through wood and through even some thin concrete. But again, it's lower frequency. You're not going to be able to carry as much data, but you will be able to carry it a lot farther. Also good for rural areas. So this is an example also of, I looked at another SIMCOM module. It's an LTE module that I've used before, and it's LTE, but also has GSM fallback, and that's pretty common too. So even if you're not necessarily, if you're expecting to use LTE, in some countries there might be GSM as a fallback capability, especially in some rural areas that still have GSM or 2G. That's another reason why you might want to have multiple bands. So this is the antenna, or a very similar version of this antenna, as an example on a dev board by Tauglass. And so this is actually kind of like an IoT all-in-one edge sensor platform thingy. And you can see that, having an SMT antenna is quite nice because, first off, it's not that large compared to, it's big, but it's not that large compared to the cellular module. And it allows you to have like a weatherproof design or an enclosed design without this jangly antenna sticking off of it. This could be, so what I thought was interesting is, if you have a cellular module that can do Cat 0, Cat 1M up to, and as well as, looks like maybe they have Wi-Fi or Bluetooth as well. This could be handy for some projects. Some of the projects that they had as an example was if you have a horse farm. So let's say you have a horse farm and you're in the Irish countryside, and you want to track the location of your horses because they're horses. They run very fast. They run very far. But maybe you want to kind of know where they are sort of on your property. So you have a GPS module. You need to get that GPS tracking data back to you. But again, you're in a rural area, so you might want to use a Cat 1M or you might want to use GSM to get the best range. But then also when they're closer to the farmhouse, you might switch over to Wi-Fi where you don't have to pay for roaming charges. And so that's where a multi-band antenna could also come in handy if you could switch. You have an antenna switch and you switch between cellular and Wi-Fi, or maybe you also have LoRaWAN and you have like a horse mesh network, all sorts of ideas.
Yeah. And sometimes you have to keep track of the temperature of the horses, their heart rate. There's a lot of things you have to keep track of.
Yes,
Yeah.
so they actually did a horse monitor project, which I think is a great example of
Who's gonna IoT your
horse
wild
sense.
horses?
Yeah. So that edge board, I think this is the same board as we showed before, and this was used for a project called HorsePal with a company that I think makes horse blankets. There's really nothing quite more romantic than having horses in the Irish countryside, and you're riding them and caring for them, and then monitoring them with LTE Cat 1M modules. So these modules, they would slip into the horse blanket, and you could use them to locate your horses and also just make sure that they're all doing okay and they're moving fine. And
That's right, sir. I love my horse, and I keep track of my horse.
This is the co-CEO of Tauglass, and I think the blue thing he's holding is the module. I think one has the battery on one side, and the other side is the edge module. And you see it's encased in silicone to keep it waterproof because horses, they can roll around in the mud. So you have to make something that is not going to get dirty, or you can't have like an SMA connector which could come loose. Which is why it's handy to have your antenna embedded inside. So if you are excited for an SMT mount antenna, well, you're in luck because there's quite a few models. About half of them are currently in stock at DigiKey,
Fell about DigiKey.
including the PA7760.
That's right.
Which is also called the Warrior X wideband.
At the time of this screenshotting, 2,576.
The band of frequencies is as wide as a horse's butt.
Yeah, and there's a little horse video, but you know, I have to be careful with some of these sales videos because they use music. So
Yeah.
we're just gonna show you the video. So this is the this is the music. This is the logo.
Okay, and this is the horse.
And then there was just like drum beats.
Horseware, that's the name of it.
Yeah, and it wasn't there was no horse sounds. It was just music. So I decided.
Yeah,
to turn
you're
the
not
music
losing
off.
out on anything with horses. Okay, well there you go. So Tauglass, thank you so much for inspiring. You know, I always go to the videos of the company, and sometimes I just like to pick the coolest one. Not necessarily like exactly the video about the antenna, but there was an antenna in that horse blanket, so it counts.
Okay, and that's Eye on MPI.
Eye on MPI.
All right, and a little reminder: all lowercase bit that worked. Apparently,
That's the-
apparently
that's the
other
code.
ways did not.
10% off.
Yeah, but you can also email support if I messed up. Okay, let's do some new products.
That's right.
Okay, first up, LadyAda.
Okay, we've got a floppy cable. This is a 34-pin 2x17 IDC cable. It's rainbowy, it's festive. We're going to use this to connect our floppy drives together. It's got a keyed and strain relieved edge on both sides. You don't have to use it for floppy drives. You can use it for anything that has a 2x17 0.1 inch header, but you know, chances are you've got something you want to connect from one board to the other. This cable will do the job. Next up, we have a battery monitor for LiPo or lithium ion batteries. So anything that's 3.7 volts / 4.2 volts. And it's pretty easy to use. It's a kind of simplistic design. It's got, you know, basically a resistor divider on the back. Actually, go to the two images forward.
want this
So,
one?
yeah, so it's got it's basically a little microcontroller, and it's got like a resistor divider, and it does an analog, comparison, and then it lights up the different segments. So if you go back one,
You want this one?
yeah, so you can see it lights up. You know, the outside basically is like, you have at least 25%, and then the rest of them light up for each 20%. So if you go to the overhead, although my battery is now being finicky. Okay, so hold on, let me just autofocus. Okay, so this battery, you know, I've had it sitting here for a bit. It's a very basic thing. Obviously, it's going to drain your battery, so you don't leave it in all the time. It doesn't have, a exact voltage. It doesn't have exact percentage. But I think it's inexpensive, and you can just have it in your toolkit. You just want to really quickly check a battery if it's dead or not. This will give you a rough idea of your battery percentage range of charge. You know, if it's charged up or if you have to put it in the charger.
Okay. Next up, we've got some more beautiful artisanal LEDs.
That's right. We've got from Deluxe Delight, we've been getting various colors and designs. So this week we've got these red spikes. I think they're super punk and funky. But they can also be used if you have like a little garden gnome. You want a red hat on
a
it
good
that
idea.
goes up. All sorts of interesting ideas you
Yes.
could do. So it's a red LED embedded in a translucent clear body. You just provide it with some voltage and it lights up. We also have a blue crystal. We had the yellow crystal a couple weeks ago, following up with the blue crystal. Use it for model making, using it for art projects. I don't know. These are just very cool LEDs, and I'll show them off on the overhead as well. So this is, I'll go to the overhead. Yeah. So this is the blue LED. So it's brightest in the middle, but the whole thing is lit up. And then ditto here. You know, the bottom is where the LED is, and then the whole spike kind of lights up, nice and diffused. So this is 2 different new shapes, and we've also got, you know, I think we got some more white skulls that came in and some other shapes and colors that we restocked.
Okay, and then the star of the show tonight, besides you, Lady Ada, our team, our customers, community, our staff, is It's Out of This World.
Yes, well, this space theme today. So this is a solder together STS kit where you can make your very own desktop Discovery. This is modeled after the real NASA Discovery, which had like 100 missions or something ridiculous. It's a very, very popular space shuttle. It comes as a PCB that you break apart, and you have to do a little bit of soldering. There's 3, flame effect LEDs, so it has a kind of a cool, it looks like, thruster flames coming out the back. And you have the stand, and then you have the 2 pieces that slot together, and then on the bottom there's a coin battery and a switch so you can turn it off when you don't want to have it glow. But it's a really adorable, first off, if you love space shuttles, then of course this is awesome. But more importantly, if you want to learn how to solder, this is a great little kit, and it's very easy to put together.
Yep.
And spacey. So beautiful silk screen, and you can see it's got like a slide together design. It's got the flame effects, and then on the bottom is the coin cell, which you can pick up at any hardware store, or we also sell them. And then turn it off when you're done. Zoom.
And that's new products.
That's right. New.
Okay, go post your questions up in Discord, adafruit.it/Discord. Join all 34,000 of us, but that's where we're going to answer questions. We're going to go to them while you're typing your questions up. Let's do some top secret. I'm going to play 2 short videos, Lady Ada, and then you're going to talk about the 2 designs that we're posting up. That's a secret.
Yes.
So here we go. Take it away past us.
All right, Lady Ada, what is this?
This is a ESP32 Feather V2, and I've swapped out the CP2102N or CP2102-104 with a WCH chip called the CH9102. You can see the WCH logo there, and it's a pin-compatible version of a USB to UART converter. It uses different drivers. It's not like a complete direct clone, so you'll need new drivers, but it's pin-compatible. And I was just testing it with uploading code to this ESP board at high speeds. So I want to make sure it works at the high speed we use, which is 921 kilobaud. This is more info about this chip. It's kind of new, but this is great because I'm having some difficulty getting enough CP2102. So this means I can keep the hardware in stock. We're going to make it through this chip shortage together. So see this update soon in the shop.
Lady Ada, what is this?
This is a very interesting USB cable. It's got USB-C on one end and then a 2.1, 2.5 millimeter DC barrel jack on the other. And if you look, it says here 12 volts, 5 amp. It actually has a USB PD chip inside here molded in, so that when this is plugged into an adapter like this one, and you can see here that this one can provide various different voltages like 9, 12, 15, 20, which is perfect because those are the cables I have. And then if I plug that into here, hold on, and then I plug the cable in, like so, then on this end, I can measure in a nice clean 12, so a little more than 12 volts. I actually measured this on the scope, and I put it on my load meter, and I got 3 amps out of it easily, so, because that's the max I could get out of my load meter. So this is a pretty cool cable. We'll have these in various voltages, 9, 12, 15, 20, in the Adafruit store soon.
All right, Lady Ada, what's this?
This is a breakout based on the same chip in that USB PD cable that I think will allow you to close some jumpers to select how much current and voltage you'd like to request from a USB CPD power supply, and so we'll try that out. It could be a handy little board. And then, I got these samples of ultra wideband indoor positioning modules, and they would make for a great little feather wing because, you need a processor, and they use SPI, and they need a bunch of components. So I put together a quick feather wing design.
That's top secret. Okay, we're going to go right into questions.
Okay.
So, first up, this one, I get to do a cut and paste. Someone wants to know, where's that cool video of that horse?
Everyone loves horses.
It's this, yeah, so the
Horses
video,
with electronics in them?
Yeah, it's this video that we showed earlier, but instead of it just being us doing the narration,
You could listen
you
to
can
the
listen
drums.
to the music.
Yeah.
So I also posted the DigiKey part, the social media for the company, and the video of the horse. Okay,
Yeah.
ready?
It's going to be the most popular video on the internet tonight.
Next up, folks like the shuttle. That's cool. Yeah, it's good for young folks too. We also wanted a kit that, there's like fighter jets and stuff like that. We wanted something that like kind of everyone is like, hey, space shuttles.
Space shuttle's nice.
Space shuttles, space shuttles.
Feel good about those.
Okay, next up, question, Adafruit, can you share which ESP32X, the whole family, has been most popular? I think we can.
I actually am not, to be honest. I don't know because the S3 we just came
What's
out
your
with.
guess? Or which one do you think will be?
I think the classic is the most, but I think the S3 could be quite popular because it has the dual core and a lot of SRAM on it. But
Okay.
it's very new, so I don't know.
All right. The ESP32 Vroom 32D is now NRND. Is there a newer version that supports both Wi-Fi and Bluetooth with a comparable number of I/O pins?
It's probably just a revision, so it's probably like the 32E or something. But check out the Espressif part selector because they have all the revisions and they can tell you what the latest version is.
Okay. No question, just a Hug Report shout out to the folks who've been maintaining the Adafruit CAD parts repo over the years, been doing a lot of Fusion 360, tinkering on 3D projects this week, and have ready-to-use models for Adafruit gear has been great for assuring fit and getting a good feel for how things will look when the project's done. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Snow
it.
and Pedro did a lot.
Yeah.
And also contributors.
All right. Question, while on the topic of ESP32, thoughts on SMA connector module?
We have all sorts of SMA adapters in the shop, so check out what we've got. We've got, a UFL, SMA antennas, SMA to SMA adapters, position changers, all that good stuff.
Someone just said they noticed that the featured products in our featured section are out of stock. Yep.
That's right. They're
It's
very
a chip
popular.
shortage. It's a chip shortage.
But we have other things.
Every day, every way. Do you think we should not have stuff out of stock in the featured section? Or
No, because
they come in and out.
people sign up, and they do come in and out of stock.
Yeah. And that's how we do business. You figure out what's the best thing you can do, and sometimes you gotta pick something that's not ideal, but it's the best you can do at the time.
That's right.
All right. I'm gonna just look around for a couple more questions, and I think we got through all of them. There was a question earlier in the evening, but it wasn't in
Is it
Discord.
about horses?
Here it is. Well, it's a similar one, so close enough. The panels, do they have any type of sensor? Could you make it like a digital Rubik's Cube for the cubes? Could you like do a
You
touch
could,
sensor?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Add touch screens, add touch sensors if you'd like, and you could have it be touch sensitive.
That's cool. Folks had some accelerometer ideas with that. Yep, someone's gonna make the LED cube and hang it from a chain. Yeah, for sure. That's gonna happen.
That's
Okay.
right.
Next up, any updates on ESP32 S3 CircuitPython BLE HD?
Nope.
Okay. I think that's gonna be. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I'll glance over if there's any other questions.
Well, so now we're right on time.
We're right on time. Don't forget the code is all lowercase Biff.
Biff. Because of the best musicians, the
Well,
Cantina.
yeah.
No news.
I think we can all, if we're gonna meet aliens, a peaceful, intelligent, sentient species,
They look good
hairless,
at music.
domed heads, black glassy eyes you could stare into, lacked eyelids, couldn't shed tears. They found work as musicians, scientists, and engineers. What a good gig.
Yeah, that's me. I sing and I engineer.
That's right. So that's our show. Special thanks to Zay, who's behind the scenes doing stuff in Slack. Special thanks to everyone in the chats, all of our team, our customers, our community, everyone who's just keeping it together the best you can. We're trying to. Hope you've enjoyed this time, and we know you have lots of choices where you spend your time and with who and your money. We very much appreciate it. Don't forget the code is BIF. It'll be on until 11:59. Here is the last little thing I like to do. This has been an Adafruit production. Here is your moment of Zener. Night, everybody.
Do 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 do.